What's up, everybody? Matt Gajewski here, back again talking college basketball. It is Wednesday, March the 19th. We have another pair of play-in games, some NIT action. Before we get started, thank you to anyone who supported the channel. We are now somewhere around 280 subs away from the 1,000 mark. A lot of support recently. Anyone who subscribed, left a comment, or liked a video, it means a lot, and it really does help a small channel. If you're looking for a way to help out that doesn't require a lot of time or effort, those are great ways, and I very much appreciate it. So thank you if you have taken the time. It does mean a lot. Let's dive right in. Our first play-in game between 16 seeds. It is Mount St. Mary's taking on American. This game is a 2.5-point spread in favor of American, a 129 total. There are injuries. Mount St. Mary's ruled out Carmelo Pacheco and Terrell Ard, been without Abdou Kadre Kebe for a while. American is fully healthy. Overall power rankings in this game, we have a better matchup than yesterday. Mount St. Mary's is 250th. American is 237th. As far as some quality wins and losses, Mount St. Mary's went 3-3 against the top 200, highlighted by a win over Miami. Also beat Merrimack, but still, those are the 192nd and 188th ranked teams. And they also have 3 losses outside the top 300, the worst of which came against Fairfield at 333. This is about the body of work we're expecting for a team of this caliber in this conference. I will say they did play George Mason, who ranked 78th, and lose by just 8 points. So it's a pretty good body of work for Mount St. Mary's. American, honestly, it's pretty similar. 237th overall is their power ranking. They went 1-4 against the top 200, but they did beat 113th George Washington. And they played single-digit games to High Point and Virginia. High Point's in the field, of course. They have 2 losses outside the top 300 to Boston and Army, so it's not all roses for American. And when you look at these teams, I think there are a lot of advantages for American, some of them injury-related. Mount St. Mary's is 201st in effective height, 47th in rebounding. American is 240th in effective height and 283rd in rebounding. Looks like a big advantage for Mount St. Mary's, but when you dive in, it's kind of a stylistic choice by American just not to attack the offensive glass. They're actually ahead of Mount St. Mary's in defensive rebounding. So this team is just getting back in transition, trying not to get cooked in transition, honestly, rather than attacking the offensive glass. And they're a decent shooting team, so they don't really have to. They're 122nd in effective field goal percentage, 172nd from 2, and 103 from 3. And it's a good matchup for them. Mount St. Mary's trails them in defense overall. They're 217th in total defense, 105th inside, 56 from 3. But there's still a lot of uniqueness to this American team. They have sort of a unicorn at this level of competition in Matt Rogers. 6'9", shoots 41% from 3. You just rarely find floor spacers down there at this level of competition. And the Mount St. Mary's defense isn't really scaring you. On the other side, Mount St. Mary's is 167th in effective field goal percentage, 216th inside, 121st in 3. American's defense doesn't scare you either. I mean, the edge here is small. It's basically Mount St. Mary's 217, American 198. But then Mount St. Mary's, they should be able to score inside if they can. Again, they're not the tallest team, but American 268th inside, 170th defending the 3. The real problem I have with this team is that you're still not super tall. You definitely don't have a drastic height advantage. And as far as the 3-point stuff goes, they just lost their best 3-point shooter, Carmelo Pacheco, at 46%. So there's the real case to be made that this effective shooting number drops for Mount St. Mary's. And I honestly think that it is going to. I'm surprised they've made it this far, given their body of work. Ard and Pacheco have already been out. This is not a new absence for them. On the periphery, turnover margin significantly favors American. They're 139th in turnovers forced. Mount St. Mary's is 356th in turnovers committed. Mathematically, we make this inside the -2.5, but I am very willing to admit and almost think that I am wrong in this. I believe that this maybe should be -2.5 or wider. I lean American. Stylistically, this favors them even before the injuries. I think you could drastically argue since the injuries with what it does to Mount St. Mary's shooting. I'm going to do a little more work on this throughout the day and see if I can't better quantify the injuries to Pacheco and Ard, basically to see if my own biases are correct. And if we do play this, it'll end up in Discord. Sometimes it just makes more sense to play these lower level games later in the day when we have more information. Did that with St. Francis yesterday and got a cover Should have been an outright win, but luckily got a cover against Alabama State. On Discord, we're projecting every single game, including injuries if they're impactful, spreads, totals. We're also projecting props for all the games in the tournament. That includes games like Mount St. Mary's. Yes, they have props for these games. It is beautiful. That's points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, minutes, everything you could possibly imagine. And there's no long-term commitments. It's $10 for a week, 7 for a month. So you could jump in for the best week in basketball or the month for the entire tournament. If you would like, the link is in the description. If you've done that and supported, I appreciate you. Thank you. Also, projected every game for March Madness if you want help with your brackets. Texas takes on Xavier. Awesome game. Hopefully better than the San Diego State, North Carolina game. 3-point spread in favor of Xavier, 151 total. No injuries on the Xavier side of impact. Texas's Tremont Mark is playing through an injury, keeps leaving games and coming back. He's definitely not at full strength, but he's not going to miss either. Chendall Weaver also went down with what looked like an ankle sprain in their last game, but then he came right back in. Just things to mention. Don't expect they're going to miss. These teams are power rated right next to each other. 43 Xavier, 44 Texas. Resumes are a bit different. Xavier had far fewer opportunities. They squandered most of them. They went 0-3 against the top 25. Basically, their whole resume hinges on a road Marquette win. They also beat UConn. So decent wins, but that's basically one top 30 win of the year. And they have 4 losses outside the top 50, 2 outside the top 80. Dropped games to TCU, Cincinnati, Georgetown, and Villanova. And those games were not games that Freemantle missed. Zach Freemantle, their stud center, he missed 3 games. They lost some games in that span, but that was to UConn. They came to competent teams. It was not the games that they were expected to win, which concerns me slightly. Texas, a lot of the same concerns. They went 4-5 against the top 25, just more opportunities. Beat Missouri, Texas A&M twice in Kentucky. Had 1 loss outside the top 50. It was to South Carolina. So they have some of the same issues that Xavier has, but not as frequent. Their second lowest loss came to Vanderbilt at 49, who's in the field. Pretty good body of work for Texas. Height and rebounding, very close in this matchup. Xavier's better on the glass, 129 to 153. Texas is slightly taller, 106 to 114. Weaver's an excellent rebounder for Texas, so him being back maybe narrows the gap in rebounding a little further, but expecting this to be neutral. And then some of the stylistics. Xavier can really shoot it, man. His team is excellent from 3, 57th in effective field goal percentage, 6th in 3-point percentage. Honestly, trailing a little inside, 165th there. Surprising with Freemantle on the floor. But man, Ryan Conwell, Dante Maddox, Marcus Foster, all hitting at least 38% of their threes. The biggest weakness on Texas's defense is their 141st perimeter defense. They're 51st inside with Caden Shedrick and Kaluma. Very good in the paint. So that is an avenue for Xavier. Texas is 96th in effective field goal percentage, 145th in 2-point percent, 64th in 3-point percent. Most of those stats are bolstered by Trey Johnson just being an absolute flamethrower, hitting 39% of his threes, only getting better, it seems, too. Their stud freshman lottery pick. Xavier's 38th in total defense. They're 157th inside and 190th defending the three. So there's another avenue here for Trey Johnson and this Texas team to hit their threes over Xavier and do their part, getting the score towards a pretty big 151 total. There really isn't anything to look at on the periphery. Turnovers pretty similar. Texas not turning it over. Xavier forces a few more. Not much in terms of fouls. And not really expecting anything to be a big difference maker on the periphery. Texas, they foul more, but they play a deeper rotation. And Xavier they generate fewer fouls. Free throws are pretty similar too. Xavier really shoots free throws well. They're 8th in the country, but Texas isn't far behind at 86th. So in this matchup, you have a lot of micro edges, whether it's one way or the other. There's a number on both sides. The biggest edges are scoring for both offenses against the opposing three-point defense. But honestly, Texas is the better defense in the half court, and largely just because they protect the rim when Xavier's not fantastic there. So this leads me to Texas for a few reasons. A lot of them coming down to those micro edges both ways. It's not drastically in favor of Xavier, which the spread might tell you it is in some areas. It's not. And resume-wise, Texas actually has quality wins in the year and only one bad loss. Xavier has no quality wins and 4 bad losses. I'm not sure how we get -3 in favor of Xavier. There are a few reasons narrative-wise that might drive you there. I think they are the more experienced team. They have a lot of very old players. Texas, they have some old players. They also have some young players. They're led by a freshman, of course. And this game is played closer to Xavier's home arena, so it could be a Xavier-friendly crowd. Not sure on that. We'll see how Texas travels. But those are things worth mentioning, and perhaps you could ding Texas a little bit. But still, we make this minus 1.4. You can get Texas at a +3, and I think you might be able to get this at a +3.5 before tip-off. I'm playing the 3, but you might be benefited if you wait. We'll see on that. But I think Texas will be the side for me. Don't feel good about it. Not a Rodney Terry guy. Texas is volatile. Have lost a lot of money betting them this year if you've already watched some of these videos. But I'll plug my nose and do it again. You can roast me in the comments if I'm wrong. Also, if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. You must be 21 or older to play. Dayton takes on FAU in the NIT. Quickly on the NIT, be careful. A lot of these teams are not treating the NIT seriously, and players are not actually suiting up. We saw this in a number of games last night. Already ran into trouble with this morning when Bradley ruled out Hannah and Montgomery, had to buy out of a position that I really enjoyed and liked. There is some nuance to this. Some teams are more motivated than others, and there is an opportunity. If you're paying attention before tip-off, you can get some good, solid closing line value ahead of injuries when they break. Just know that the FIT or the NIT is volatile, and a lot of teams don't actually treat this seriously, which is a shame because it's an amazing field full of teams that were 1 game away, 2 games away from the tournament, whether it was winning their conference or at large. But it's just not what it used to be. As sad as it is, that's how it is. In this game, Dayton a 1-point underdog to FAU, 151 total. Dayton has a pretty good resume. It's up and down. They went 6-5 against the top 100 marquee wins over Northwestern, UConn, and Marquette. Questionable losses in the back end. They lost 4 games outside the top 100, and they dropped a game to UMass at 217. FAU similar but a little worse. 2-7 against the top 100. Beat Liberty in the field, and Oklahoma State at 99, so we're barely counting that as a top 100 win. Lost 8 times out of the top 100, bottomed out against Seton Hall outside the top 200. Florida Gulf Coast and Charleston also some pretty bad losses there. Stylistically, if you're going to play FAU, you got to size up. This team has a ton of size. They are 43rd in effective height, but Dayton is 71. It's still easier said than done. Matas Vokatitis is 7 feet tall. Trey Carroll and Caleb Glenn are 6'7" apiece. Baba Miller is 6'11". They go deep on the interior with this team. That's going to test Dayton. They do have the size. It's not quite as deep. Letang is 7'1". Santos is 6'7". Zedkey is 6'8". So you can size up if you're Dayton, but it is at least a concern given how deep FAU is there. With that said, FAU's guard play is not strong. This team is 334th in three-point defense. Dayton is 77th in three-point percentage, behind largely Malachi Smith and Nate Santos. Santos hitting over 40% of his threes. Offensively, FAU is the slightly better effective field goal, 76-93, but Dayton significantly better at three-point percentage, and that is their path against that horrible three-point defense from FAU. FAU does have the same sort of advantage inside, not quite as drastic, but 78th in two-point percent. Dayton is 226th at interior defense. A little easier to score around the rim against Dayton. So I do think those FAU forwards have some success inside. But honestly, for being as tall as they are, this team is a problem rebounding. They're only 181st. Dayton 144th, so not a drastic advantage, but I thought this would come in further in favor of FAU. Turnovers drastically favor Dayton in this spot, who rarely turns the ball over, and FAU's not generating them anyway. Foul margin comes in favor of Dayton. They're 38th in fouls generated. FAU's 172nd in fouls committed. Free throw shooting, Dayton is 70th overall in three-point free throw percentage. FAU is 257th. Basically, we make this a -1, and you can find this at a +1, +1.5. That's the number we played, +1. When this is about 2 points off the spread, I think you can handle some of the volatility that comes with the NIT and guys just sitting out randomly. I'll buy out of this if I have to, but hopefully we don't have to get to that point. And we likely will play some extra NIT towards tip-off as we get more information on who's trying and who's not. But thank you for watching, filming the massive first-round breakdown day one, Thursday, right after this. If you want full tournament stuff, we have a video on that channel too. But otherwise, thank you for watching. We'll see you later, and good luck.